On to the first of the questions for profit and loss. All right, past questions. Quant 1000. In case you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do hit subscribe. In case you're looking for good content, just log into Mockat.com. A lot of resources which are there for free. And in case you're looking for classroom-based coaching, please sign up over there as well. Right. So let's look at question 97 over here. Before we even start with this, right? Few things you need to remember. All right. So we'll be using three approaches. We've seen that under the percentages lesson. First up, all right, so if you're going to be having only percentages given like we have over here, all right, so only percentages, that is no absolute value, right? If there's no absolute value given in terms of rupees 2000 and so on, then we're going to be using the assume a value approach, right? We're going to assume a value and proceed. In case exactly one absolute value is going to be given, you'll be seeing the subsequent questions. Then we're going to be using the index method and then link it, right? We'll be linking the index to the actual values. Now, if you're going to have two or more absolute values given, it's going to be difficult to use any of the either ones, right? The previous ones. So what we're going to be doing is just go back to a plain old simple traditional approach of using variables like we've used, right? But given that this is the CAT exam, we're going to be having more of questions around these, right? Because they don't want you to use the variables and go for the slow techniques, right? They want to see as to who's going to be quick and how quick you're going to be, right? So no absolute value, only in percentage terms. Assume any value you can, right? And proceed. If need be, you can create indexes, right? Indices or multiple index, right? If you're going to be creating, it's going to be around assuming different values and creating and linking them up. We'll look at some right now, right? The complete details of these are in the lessons, right? You can refer to that, or at least the concept videos which are available for free under the speed concept section at mockat.com. I refer to those. For the first couple of questions, I'll be a little slower with these and explain the concepts as well. Okay. So first up, if a seller gives a discount of 15% on retail price, she still makes a profit of 2%. Okay, so this retail price is nothing but the marked price, right? So we've seen that marked price. What is marked price over here? You go to a shop and let's say a clothing store. Typically, there'll be a tag over there attached to the shirt. It'll say something like 2000 rupees, and then there'll be a sale running saying 40% off, right? So that 2000 rupees is nothing but the mark price. 40% of this 800 is going to be the discount, right? And then we're going to be paying 1200 to purchase the shirt. Now, what was the cost price? What is the price at which the shop purchased the shirt? We have no idea. They're not going to tell us that, right? That could have just been 400 rupees or something like that, right? Which means there's a huge profit. The profit over here is 800 rupees, and profit is always the percentage of the cost price. In this case, 800 by 400 into 100% will come to 200%. Discount is a percentage of the mark price. 40% of this, right? That's the discount. What is the other concept? Markup, right? Markup. Now 400 was marked up by the shop to make it 2000. That is how much? 1600 rupees increased, right? 1600 as a percentage of 400, right? That's going to be 400%. 400% was the markup percentage, right? Different concepts. I think if you've gone through it, you'll remember that. Let's just refer to our concept videos quickly on mockat.com. That'll be like a refresher of these. Okay, so back to this. If a seller gives a discount of 15% on the retail price, right? So therefore, this is going to be a mark price over here. Assume a mark price. Let the mark price be 100 rupees. I give a discount over here, and that's 15% of this, which is 15. And what I'm going to be getting over here is the selling price, right? She still makes a profit of 2%, right? Now, what is the relationship between profit and SP? That's cost price. To cost price, if I add a profit, and if I read it this way, cost price plus profit is selling price. But profit is a percentage of the cost price. So therefore, let me create another index now, right? Whatever you're assuming is nothing but an index form, right? Index is what? You take some value, whatever, right? Assume some value and work on it. Now, if there's a profit of 2%, if my CP, cost price, would have been 100, then 2% of 100 is 2 rupees. 100 plus 2 over here is 102 rupees. Profit is always a percentage of the cost price. Now, what is the connect over here? The connect over here is the selling price, because I have the selling price value for both the indices, index 1 and index 2, 85 and 102. What is asked is which of the following ensures that she makes a profit of 20%? Okay, she makes a profit of 20%. Let me just find out one set of values. Let me work on the larger figures and see if I can get that, because profit of 20% is 20% of 100. It's easy for me to do it that way. Profit is a percentage of cost price. So how do I find these two values over here? These two values. Now, those of you who've seen the lessons, you'll know that you can use the cross multiplication method over here. Now, what is that? 100 into 102 divided by 85. That's the value over here. Product of the known diagonal divided by the opposite value divided by 85. That's the value over here. I've explained this in multiple questions as to why it works that way. Don't need to use a variable and try to find that, right? So if you simplify this, you're going to get 6 by 5. 6/5 of 100 is going to come to 120, right? So mark price is 120. Discount over here would have been, in this case, would have been 18. 120 minus 18 is 102. Now, what is the question over here? The question is, which of the following ensures that she makes a profit of 20%? So 20% of what, right? So I know the cost price is 100. I know the mark price is 120. If you need to make a profit of 20%, the selling price should also be 120, right? 20% of 100 more. So your selling price 120, mark price 120. What is the discount given? Nothing, right? So you have to sell it at the retail price. Option 4 is the answer here. Now, I went about explaining very slowly over here, right? So if your logic and if your flow is good, you know that all you need to do is MP over here, 15% discount, 100, subtract a 15, and you get an 85 over here as a selling price. That's index 1. Go for an index 2 over here, because you have a profit of 2%. Let the CP be 100, add 2 rupees of profit, and you get 102 over here as selling price. Which of the following ensures there's some profit of 20%? Let me look to fill these up. Now you can do one more thing. 85 is to 102, right? What is the ratio of these two? That's going to be divided by 17 on both. It's going to be 5 is to 6. It's the same over here. These two should also be in the ratio of 5 is to 6. So 5 parts is 15, 1 part is 3, this is 18. If 5 parts is 100, 1 part is 20, 6 parts is 120. And that's it. You get these values. You don't need to do those cross multiplications. Remember, the ratios can also be applied over here, right? So that's the beauty with indices or index. Now that we know it's 120 and 100 is the cost price for sure. If you want a profit of 20%, 120 should be the selling price. So 0 over here should be the discount. And we once again get option 4. On to question 98. In a market, the price of medium quality mangoes is half that of good mangoes. Okay. A shopkeeper buys 80 kg good mangoes and 40 kg medium quality mangoes. So you have medium and good. Very often we end up creating a table for these kind of questions. All right. Medium and good over here. The prices are not given. Okay. And then finally what's happening? Sells all of these at a common price which is 10% less than the price at which he bought the good ones. So 10% of something, 1/10, let the good ones be 10 rupees per mango, right? Price per, not per mango, price per kg over here, right? Because kgs are given. If the price per kg of a good mangoes, for good mangoes is 10, then medium quality is half of that, right? Which is going to be 5 rupees per kg. Now, what is the quantity given to us over here, or in kgs? 80 for good, right? Just be careful with this, because here is the good is given first and then the medium, the other way around. Don't just immediately write 80 here and 40 here. Be careful with that. 40 kg over here. Okay. And what's the cost price over here? Cost price is 5 into 40, which is 200, and 80 into 10, which is 800. The total cost price over here is nothing but 1000, right? Sum of these two. Now, all of these are sold at a common price, which is 10% less than the price at which he bought the good ones. Okay, what is the selling price over here? Total is 120 kg. 120 kg is being sold at a price which is 10% less than this. 10% is 1/10 of this, 1 rupee. 1 less than 10 is going to come to 9. 120 into 9 is nothing but 1080. Overall selling price over here is 1080. Why? 120 kg over here. Selling price per unit is, per kg is 9 rupees, 10% less than this. And therefore, the profit made over here overall is 80 rupees. Now, his overall profit is what? In percentage terms, it's understood. Profit is a percentage of the cost price. So 80 by 1000. You should be knowing at this stage it's 8% in this market. Or if you want to find out, strictly use it into 100%, all of that. Two zeros are cancelled, 1 0 over here, and it's 8%. If Fatima sells 60 identical toys at a 40% discount on the printed price, okay, then she makes 20% profit. Okay, so let the printed price over here be how much? Let's assume a value, right? Once again, the number of toys is given, but no other absolute value is given. Assume, let the printed price be how much? Rupees, the simplest value, 100, right? 100 per toy, can relate to that. Okay. What else is given over here? 60 of them were sold at 40% of the less than the printed price, right? Okay. So 60, let's say the selling price of 60 toys is 60 toys are sold at 40% less than this, right? 40% less than this is rupees 60 per toy, right? 60 toys are sold at 60 per toy, and that's coming to rupees 3,600. That's the selling price of 60 items. Okay, and this over here resulted in a 20% profit, right? If you want, you can quickly form an index, right, to understand better what this 20% profit over here means. Now, CP for 60 toys, and then you have a profit over here, right? 20% profit is nothing but 1/5. 1/5 of what? The cost price. You can also write it this way when you know it in the fraction form. It's nothing but profit by CP, which means for every 5 rupees of cost price, 1 rupees profit. Profit is a percentage of CP. I've written the fraction form 1/5. For every 5 rupees of CP, 1 rupee is profit. So the index, you just write 5 for CP, 1 for profit. For every 5 rupees of cost price, if 1 rupee is a profit, the selling price was 5 plus 1, 6 rupees. If 6 parts is 3,600, 1 part is 600. 5 parts is going to be 3,000. And that's it. I'm explaining this to you slowly. Practice this a few times. And if you write this down, you're going to be very, very quick with this. Don't need to do the 3,600 by 1.2 and all of that. That's another option for those of you who know that, right? So moving to this, we found the cost price, right, which is 3,000 over here. Selling price of 60 items, 3,600. Let's get back to this. While now what has happened over here? 10 of these toys are destroyed in fire. Okay, destroyed. While selling the rest, how much discount should be given on the printed price so that she can make the same amount of profit? If I have to make the same amount of profit, I have to get the same amount of money for that 3,600. Now this 3,600, right, total of 3,600 rupees, I can earn by selling only 50 toys, right? Rupees 3,600 should be earned by selling only 50 toys because 10 toys were destroyed by fire out of the 60. From the 60, 10 are destroyed, 50 are what we are left with. How much is that going to be? Divide over here, 360 by 5, and that comes to 72. Rupees 72 per toy is what you have to sell it at. If 100 per toy was the printed price, 72 is what you're selling at. Now, how much is the discount percent over here? What is the discount you can give over here? That's going to be 28%, right? 28 rupee discount, 28 by 100, percentage of the mark price. You just know it, right? Subtract 28, the base is 100, just write 28%. Mark that and keep going to the next question. On to question 100. The manufacturer of a table sells it to a wholesale dealer at a profit of 10%. Okay. The wholesale dealer sells the table to a retailer at a profit of 30%. Okay. And the retailer sells it to a customer at a profit of 50%. The customer pays 4,290 for the table. What's the manufacturing cost? The start. Let the cost be X, right? The manufacturer is selling at a profit of 10%, right? So the selling price for the manufacturer is X into 1.1, right? Profit CP into 1 plus profit percent over here. That is the SP, right? So that's the formula. Now cost price was X for the manufacturer, right? Manufacturing cost. What's the selling price for the manufacturer? Into 1.1, right? 1 plus 10%. The moment we have done that, that becomes the cost of the wholesale dealer. Now wholesale dealer is making a profit of 30% into 1.3 when the person sells it. The retailer who is buying it now has to sell it to a customer at a profit of 50% into 1.5, and this comes to 4,290. All that you need to do in the calculator is 4,290 divided by 1.1, divided by 1.3, divided by 1.5, and mark it and keep going. Now, in case this turns up in an exam where there's no calculator, which is not a CAT exam, then what do? There's nothing but 11 by 10 over here. There's nothing but 13 by 10 over here. And there's nothing but 15 by 10, which can also be written as 3 by 2. So x over here is nothing but 4290 into 10 into 10 into 2, 10 into 10 into 2, divided by 11 into 13 into 3. 11 into 13 into 3. 3 I can divide quickly, 1430. 11 13s are 143. If you know the tables I've told you, then you know 2 into 10 into 10, that comes to 2000, right? That becomes the manufacturing cost. Option 2 is the answer here. On to question 101. Mayank buys some candies for rupees 15 a dozen and an equal number of different candies for rupees 12 per dozen. Okay, it's an equal number, right? What's the average cost price? That's going to be simply 15 plus 12 by 2, because number of candies purchased is the same for both types, right? 15 plus 12 by 2 is coming to rupees 13.5 per dozen. Let's not miss out on that. Okay, he sells all for rupees 16.5 a dozen. Okay, so the cost price is nothing but rupees 13.5 per dozen. The selling price over here is nothing but rupees 16.5 per dozen. Then what would have been the profit? The difference of these two, rupees 3 per dozen. Okay, now what else is given? He makes a profit of rupees 150. In actual terms, total profit made over here is rupees 150. How? How many dozens of the candies did he buy altogether? So rupees 3 per dozen into number of dozens, right? Number of dozens should give us the total amount made. 3 rupees for every dozen was made as profit. Total of 150 rupees. 150 by 3, that comes to 50. 50 dozens over here. How many dozens of candies did he buy altogether? Altogether was 50, 25 of each type. So therefore, option 1 becomes the answer here. On to question 102. A trader sells 10 liters of a mixture of paints A and B, where the amount of B in the mixture does not exceed that of A. Okay, the cost of paint A per liter is rupees 8 more than that of paint B. Okay, if the trader sells the entire mixture for rupees 264 and makes a profit of 10%, right? We have an absolute value given over here and one more over here. Let's just keep it simple, right? You have 10 liters given over here, rupees 264. Let's go with variables, right? So I told you, if you have too many absolute values, just stick with variables, right? So A and B. Now, what's the quantity? Quantity given over here. Quantity is what? Let's say A over here is going to be X liters, right? What about the quantity of B over here? That's going to be 10 minus X liters. What else do we know? Amount of B in the mixture does not exceed that of A. So B is going to be less than equal to that of A, right? So X over here is greater than equal to 10 minus X, or 10 minus X is less than equal to X, right? And then you bring the X to the side, you're going to get 2X is greater than equal to 10, and you're going to get X is greater than equal to 5. And you should remember this. That's a condition given to us. Now, could we have done it in a better way? Yes. B in the mixture does not exceed that of A. B can be maximum half of it. It doesn't exceed it. Okay? Total of 10 liters. B can be max of half of it, which is 5, can be 5 or less. Only then A is more than B, or A is greater than or equal to B, right? B cannot exceed that of A. B cannot exceed half of it. So therefore, if B is less than equal to 5, X is going to be greater than equal to 5. That's it, right? A over here should be at least 50%. And you could have directly have gotten that as well, or you just stick with this and form the inequality and get to it. That's still fine. Now, what else is given? The cost of paint A per liter is rupees 8 more than that of B. So the cost over here per liter, and there's a quantity in liters, right? Liters, I don't know why I wrote Y, but yeah, coming back to this, 8 more than that of B. So let this be Y, and this becomes Y plus 8. Okay. If the trader sells the entire mixture of for rupees 264 and makes a profit of 10%, then what's the cost price going to be? The cost price is nothing but product of these two, right? So X into Y plus 8 plus 10 minus X into Y is equal to 264. No, 264 is the selling price, right? Sells at that price. The profit is 10%. At this stage, you should be knowing divide by 1.1. Selling price divided by the multiplication factor is your cost price, right? Get used to that. So get rid of the decimal, add a 0 over here, divide by 11. 11 2s are 22, and then a 4 and the 0, right? 240 there. What do we get here when we expand this xy plus 8x plus 10y minus xy? Xy and xy are cancelled, and we get 240. Okay. We can further divide all of them by 2, and I get a 120 and a 4 and a 5. 4x plus 5y equals 120. Let me write this over here. 4x plus 5y equals 120. The highest possible cost of paint B in rupees per liter. B, cost per liter. I have to find the y value, and I have a condition around x, and I have one equation with two variables. And what should I do? I have to find the highest possible. I have to maximize this. What's the maximum possible value of y? That's what is asked. So I'll write everything in terms of y. So y equals, move 4x there, 120 minus 4x, bring the 5 down, divided by 5. Now, if I have to maximize y, find the highest possible value of y, we have constants here, but one variable. That variable is being subtracted. To maximize this value, I have to subtract the smallest possible value. Only then this gets maximum. To subtract the smallest possible value, I have to find the smallest value x can take. And x over here is greater than equal to 5. It can't go below 5. So the smallest value x can take is 5. Right? It can't take anything lower than 5. It can take 5 or more. The lowest possible value for x over here is 5. Right? So therefore, the maximum possible value for y is 120 minus 4 into 5 divided by 5. 120 minus 20 divided by 5, which is 100 by 5, which comes to 20. Option 3 over here is the answer. A wholesaler bought walnuts and peanuts. The price of walnut per kg being thrice that of peanut per kg. Okay, 3 times 8 kg over here, 10, 16 kg. Okay, some absolute values, 3 kg, 5 kg lost, 166 per kg. I'm not comfortable with any index or, assuming a value. Quite a long question. Just go in for variables, right? Some relationship is given over here at the start as well. Just use variables, because at the start you don't know whether any other approach would be better. So if you're not too sure, it's quite a long question. Just keep it simple. Just go with variables, right? Might take you a little longer than other methods, if at all one of those you could use. But this is something which variable you can definitely use in any question, right? So therefore, it's fine. How do we start over here, right? So walnuts and peanuts, a wholesaler over here. Okay, this is the a wholesaler, right? Wholesaler scenario over here. And what is the wholesaler doing over here? The price of walnut per kg being thrice, right? Bought initially. So the cost price over here, walnut is 3 times this. So if this is going to be x, then the cost price of walnut is going to be 3x. Okay, for the wholesaler. Fine. He then sold 8 kg of peanuts at a profit of 10%. Okay, so quantity over here. And what's happening to the quantity? For walnuts, it's 16 kg, right? So in a different order, 8 kg over here for the peanuts. Okay, and what else is given? When sold the peanuts, it was at a profit of 10%. That means the selling price, right? This is CP per kg. Now, total selling price, I'm just going to directly write it. What's the total selling price? X into 8 into 1.1, right? Why the 1.1? X per kg is the cost price, 10% profit, so it becomes 1.1x. That's the selling price per kg. Multiply it with the kgs, right? Skip a step, directly write it down, and you get 8.8x here. Likewise, in the case of walnuts, it's 20% profit. So 3x into 1.2, right? 3x into 1.2, that's 3.6x into 16 kg over here. Or you can do a 3 into 16, that's 48. 48 into 1.2 is going to come to 48 plus 9.6, that's 57.6x. Okay. So what has happened now? Quite a long question. However, the shopkeeper lost 5 kg of walnuts and 3 kg of peanuts in transit. Some bit are gone, Total of 8 kg is gone. From the 24, 8 have disappeared. He then mixed the remaining nuts. Okay, so now it's just a mixture of it. Okay, from the 24, 8 are gone. The remaining 16 are sold at 166 per kg, making an overall profit of 25%. Okay, so what's the what has happened over here? This has been sold to somebody, right? This has been sold to somebody. So the total SP over here is 57.6 plus 8.8, which comes to 66.4x, right? 66.4x. And this is the shopkeeper story right now. The shopkeeper, right? The cost price over here is 66.4x. Whatever the wholesaler is sold for, right, to the shopkeeper, that becomes the cost price for the shopkeeper. Total cost price 66.4x. On this, what has happened right now has made an overall profit of 25%. So 66.4x into 1.25, right? 66.4x. So selling price over here for the shopkeeper 66.4x into 1.25, and that is also equal to we've given an absolute value. He then mixed the remaining nuts. Remaining nuts is 16 plus 8, 24. From that 24, you remove 5 plus 3, 8. 24 minus 8, right? That's the remaining nuts. After losing these, was sold at 166 per kg. That's it. So 1.25 over here can be written as 5 by 4, right? To simplify things. 4, can I divide 4 over here? Yeah, 4 if I divide over here, it's going to be 1 4s are 4 and then 6.6. Okay, 16.6 and I have a 166 over here. 16.6 I divide over here and I get a 10. A 5 over here, right? A 5 over here I can simplify over here and get a 2. The sole remaining x over here, x is going to be what? 24 minus 8, which is 16 into 2, which comes to 32. So x equals 32. What is asked? At what price did, in rupees per kg, did the wholesaler buy the walnuts? Wholesaler bought it, CP, the walnuts at 3x, price per kg, right? If x is 32, 3x is what? 3x, 3 times this is going to be 96. Option 2 becomes the answer here. On to question 104. On selling a pen at 5% loss and a book at 15% gain, Kareem gains rupees 7. Okay, if he sells at 5% gain, something else 10% gain, gains 13. Two absolute values, two variables over here we can just use and get done with it. It's like two linear equations over here, right? First up, let the cost price, right? CP of a pen be how much? We'll make that X. CP of a book over here, let it be B, right? Let's make it P and B so that it's easy. 5% loss on this minus 0.05p, right? Loss is a percentage of the cost price. 15% gain over here plus 0.15b equals how much? Total is 7. In this case, if it's plus 0.05p plus 10% gain plus 0.10b, right? Why is it plus in both cases? In both cases, it's going to be a gain and a gain, right? Here it was a loss, so minus. And this is going to come to 13. How do we solve for it? We need to find the cost price of book. Very good. We can get rid of p by just adding them up. Adding these two, we're going to get 0.25b equals 7 plus 13, 20. 0.25 is nothing but 1 by 4, right? We should know that. So b over here is nothing but take the 4 there and you get an 80. That's the cost price of a book. Option 2 is the answer here.